Hello, and welcome to this section of this course. Hello, and welcome to the first lesson of this course on product positioning for startups. And in this lesson, we're going to be looking at what is positioning and why it is important to do. So, in a nutshell, positioning is the deliberate positioning of our products that puts your strengths front and center. So we want to make all the strengths and value that our products provide to our end users very, very clear. In essence, and a very valuable lesson to hold true is the fact that you cannot be everything to everyone. And the reality is that you're not. Your products may do a lot of things, but what you need to focus on is that thing that makes your product special. So positioning defines how your product is a leader at delivering something that a well-defined set of customers cares a lot about. Or in a nutshell, that is to say, what is so special about your product and who cares? What makes your product different? Failure to position yourself correctly has costly results because you end up investing in a black hole rather than in your best fit. So a way to explain this is by giving the example of a bakery that bakes cakes. They do exceptional cakes. They've been baking cakes for many years. They decide to launch a new product using all the same ingredients, the same cake, but now what they're doing, they decide to put it on the end of a stick. They start selling these cakes on sticks to the same restaurants, the same customers that they've always sold to, but there's no uptake. They don't know why. Cake on a stick is not selling. Until one day it occurs to them what they've invented is a lollipop. They were selling and marketing the same product, the same essential components, but calling it something that it's not. And that is a typical example of one of the issues that we find in startups where the technology drives the offering. And that's what we try to avoid. We try to build our messaging, our marketing, our sales strategies around what is it the value that this product offers and what is the best way of communicating that value in a way that the market will understand. Not necessarily just based on what we've done to date and the technology that sits behind it. The benefits of positioning are far-reaching. It provides a key focus for who you work with, what products, services you provide, and how you do it. Positioning provides direction. There'll be no question about what you do, who you do it for, and how you do it. It provides a clear target audience. This is essential for the effective development of your products and services, as well as your marketing. A positioning strategy allows you to have a more efficient and targeted sales process. It drives a strong qualifying process. With positioning, your sales team will know exactly what to look for in a lead. Positioning drives premium pricing. With specialization and unique expertise comes the ability to charge premium pricing. So we can see positioning is not just about marketing. It's not just about a caption, a logo, a snappy headline. It's much more than that. It is the basis on which sales, product development, strategy, marketing are all based, and even pricing. What positioning does offer is it provides context. Your positioning context sets off a really powerful set of assumptions about who your product competes with, what features your product should have, who the product is intended for, and even things like what the product should cost. Most products are exceptional only when we understand them within their best frame of reference. The failing for most of us is when we try to position ourselves or our products and services is that we think that the context is obvious. So in the example of the cake on a stick, it was obvious to that baker, this is a cake on a stick. To the target market, they saw it as a lollipop. It's a funny little example, but it works. What is positioning not? It's not vision. It's not the strategy behind our company. It's not branding, and it's not marketing. Positioning is a fundamental element of all of these things. Positioning sits behind everything that we do. Once we've developed strong positioning strategy, all of our product development can follow through on that. Decisions around features that we integrate, features that we develop. Is that feeding into our positioning? If not, we don't do that. Same with marketing and branding. The outputs of positioning feed into the marketing in terms of messaging, targeting, campaign planning, sales, target customer segmentation, sales collateral, and account strategy. So that segmentation is key because that is an important part of what positioning is. So in that process of carrying out our positioning, we're going to understand what are the key customer segmentations. Customer success, onboarding and account expansion strategy, and product roadmaps and prioritization. So once we have developed a very solid positioning strategy, our products should follow through on that, all feeding into a cohesive idea and vision. But which comes first, the chicken or the egg? So do you do your product development first or your positioning first? Well, it really is a case of an ongoing evolutionary process that never really ends. If you think about Volvo, Volvo is known for its safety in cars. Everything that they do, everything that they decide on in terms of development is enforcing that both internally, making sure that all decisions are driven by safety within their cars, which then follows through to their sales, their target market, their marketing, all is driven behind this value that they offer to the target market, which is safety. So great family cars, people with kids who want to invest in their safety. It means they can then drive premium prices. People will pay extra for that extra safety to keep their family safe. Likewise, that has now become something that is incorporated into all of their marketing. So as you can see, this is a cyclical process that drives product development and messaging. But what is messaging? In contrast to positioning, messaging focuses on the content and delivery of communication. A lot of people get this mixed up. They think positioning is the messaging. The messaging comes out of the positioning. Messaging is the means through which you effectively communicate your positioning to your target audience. Think of it as the voice of your brand, speaking directly to your customers and prospects. So as we go through this course, you will see how when we have developed a strong positioning, this will feed into our marketing, our voice, the way that we talk about our products, the way that we vision it, the customers that we choose to talk to. Think of it like this. Positioning is like the ingredients of the cake. The raw materials that are used internally to produce the external messaging. Messaging is the finished food, the end result that you use externally to entice people to your company or product. And if we're to take a look at the essential components of positioning, first we have the competitive alternatives. So notice here I haven't used the term competitors, because what we're not looking at is just competitive companies. We're also looking at other alternative solutions. What would your target audience do if your solution did not exist? So if we were to take a database software, for example, an alternative to that may be Excel. It may be something that most customers already have. They're not going to pay for it again. They just have alternative ways of solving that problem. So this we need to understand. Second component of positioning is the value. What are the benefits of the features to your target buyers and how they address their pain points. So, in this sense, we're not looking at the features themselves, but rather the value that these features offer to your target market. For example, the exceptional airbags in a Volvo car. Nobody really cares about the technology behind those airbags. What they want or what they're paying for is the safety that those airbags provide. The market category. The market we define our solution as fitting to illustrate the value to our target buyers. Going back to the case of the cake on a stick, the mistake was calling it a cake on a stick. People don't understand what that is. Calling it a lollipop, immediately they get what it does. They get what it is, they get the offering, they get the value. Same with startups, where we have a technology. If we choose the right market category, calling it by the right name that indicates immediately to the target market what our product is, what it does, and the value that it provides, it helps them to understand it much more clearly. Relevant trends. Trends that our target audience may be aware of or interested in that may affect the way they view our solution and what may help or hinder our solution's relevancy. So, for example, I've worked with a company that offered IoT solutions, air quality monitoring, with a wide range of capabilities. Being able to monitor for COVID, being able to monitor for hazards in the workplace, pollution. However, when we sat down and looked at trends in the market, we saw that actually social housing was having some serious problems with mold. There was some government legislation coming through that was going to change the market. And a lot of social housing providers and managers were extremely concerned about how they were going to manage the air quality in their homes. This drove a significant repositioning and pivoting of the entire company to focus in on that. And what we offered was the ability for those organizations to communicate directly with their tenants, something that nobody else in that sector was offering. But we knew, having done our research, that this was something that was of significant concern to a lot of those organizations, and it turned out to be a very successful pivot. Unique attributes. The features and capabilities that our product or service have that alternatives do not. So identifying what makes our product unique. And the target market characteristics, the attributes of buyers that make them care about the value of our solution. So not all customers are going to be equal. Some may have different expectations, different pain points, different buying cycles, different ways of purchasing. Really understanding those is key to successful positioning. All of this, of course, is very easy. Now all we have to do is figure out how to get the best answer for each of these components. Here's where things get a little bit tricky. We're not going to go into this in this lesson. This is a future lesson where we're going to run through exactly the process of carrying out a positioning exercise. But just to give you a context of what we're going to do, there are 5 steps of positioning. The first is letting go of where you came from. So one of the biggest challenges I find when working with companies, startups, is preconceived ideas. What have they done before? What have customers bought before? Very, very important intelligence to understand what customers think about those products. But as long as we hold on to some of those things that have been holding us back until now, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to redefine, to shift potentially strategies. We're going to end up doing the same thing over and over again. We need to look at these things constantly and reevaluate. So that's the first step. The second step is to isolate your uniqueness. Understand what it is that makes your product, your company, your offering or service unique. Step 3 is understanding the value of that uniqueness to your customers, not to you, not to your preconceived idea of your customers, but to your customers, your end market. Who cares? Who amongst that market specifically wants to pay for the value that you can offer? The example of Volvo. Family people with the right kind of income, that wanted to have extra safety for their family, perhaps. Not everybody's going to want that, not everybody can afford that. And choose your best market frame of reference. Going back to the lollipop again, calling it a lollipop, not a cake on a stick. Call it what it is. And eventually we'll come to working out and filling out the positioning template, which is 3 columns looking at the unique attributes, the value that offers, and who cares. And I'll run through an example of having done this with another company, just so you can get a frame of reference for how that can be done. Join me for the next course, and we're going to get through this and refine and define your positioning so that you can drive your sales, growth, and attract further investment.